Revenge is one of the oldest forces in human history. It has burned cities to the ground. It has shattered empires. It has turned ordinary people into legends, and legends into monsters. Sometimes revenge explodes in fire and blood. Sometimes it waits, silent, patient, inevitable. But when revenge reshapes history, the world never forgets. These are the most epic revenge stories ever recorded. Fire 1. The queen who turned Britain into fire in the year 60 AD. Rome believed Britain was under control. The empire was unstoppable, disciplined, organized, ruthless, and in eastern Britain ruled a client queen named Boudica. Her husband, King Prasutagus, had cooperated with Rome. He believed loyalty would protect his family. When he died, Rome ignored his will. Roman officials stormed into Iceni lands. They seized property. They annexed territory. And to send a message, they publicly flogged Boudica. Her daughters were assaulted by Roman soldiers. It was humiliation designed to break a people. But something else happened. The tribes of Britain, long divided, began to unite. Boudica stood before them. Tall, fierce, red-haired, according to Roman historians. She did not beg for mercy. She called for vengeance. Tens of thousands answered. Their first target was Camulodunum, a Roman stronghold. They overwhelmed it. Temples burned. Statues fell. Roman citizens were slaughtered. Then they marched toward Londinium, a young trading settlement, the seed of what would become London. The Roman governor knew he could not defend it. He evacuated. Boudica's army entered the city and burned it to the ground. Archaeologists today still find a thick layer of red ash beneath modern London, evidence of that fire. 4 months, Roman authority in Britain collapsed. Nearly 70,000 Romans and loyalists were killed. An empire that stretched across continents was shaken by a single woman's fury. Eventually, Rome regrouped. In a final battle, disciplined Roman legions crushed the rebellion. Boudica either took poison or died soon after. But Rome never forgot. Because for a moment, Britain was not Rome's possession. It was Boudica's revenge. Fire 2. The revenge that waited in silence in 1701, in Edo, Japan, inside the powerful Tokugawa shogunate, honor was everything. A regional lord named Asano Naganori was assigned court duties. He was instructed by a senior official named Kira Yoshinaka. Kira insulted him repeatedly, mocked him, humiliated him in front of others. In a moment of rage, Asano drew his blade inside Edo Castle. He wounded Kira, but did not kill him. Drawing a sword inside the castle was forbidden. Asano was ordered to commit seppuku. His lands were seized. His samurai were dismissed. They became rōnin, masterless warriors. 47 of them chose a different path. The 47 rōnin did not rebel immediately. They understood something powerful: revenge must survive scrutiny. So they pretended. Some became merchants. Some became drunkards. One even divorced his wife so she would not suffer the consequences. For nearly 2 years they lived in apparent disgrace. Kira lowered his guard. He believed the threat had faded. Then, on a snowy night in 1703, they gathered quietly. They marched to Kira's mansion. They surrounded it, scaled the walls, fought through guards in the dark. When they reached Kira, he hid in a shed. They found him trembling. They offered him the chance to die honorably. He refused. They executed him, then carried his head through the streets of Edo and laid it at their master's grave. They did not flee. They surrendered. The shogunate ordered them to commit seppuku. But Japan did not see criminals. Japan saw loyalty. Their story became legend, retold for centuries in plays and literature. Because their revenge was not chaos. It was discipline. It was patience. It was loyalty carried to the edge of death. Fire 3. The forest that stopped an empire in the 1400s. The Ottoman Empire expanded relentlessly across Europe. Cities fell. Kingdoms collapsed. And in Wallachia ruled a prince named Vlad the Impaler. As a boy, Vlad had been taken hostage by the Ottomans. He witnessed executions, punishments, power through fear. He learned their methods. And when he reclaimed his throne, he refined them. The Ottomans demanded loyalty. Vlad answered with defiance. Raids, ambushes, night attacks. He used psychological warfare before the term existed. In 1462, Sultan Mehmed II marched into Wallachia with a massive army. What they found outside Targovist shocked them. Thousands of Ottoman prisoners had been impaled, staked on tall poles, left to rot in the sun. A forest of corpses stretching across the field. The smell was overwhelming. The silence worse. It was not just execution. It was a message. Vlad was saying, "You taught me fear. Now I return it." Even the Sultan hesitated. The invasion slowed. The Ottomans eventually pushed Vlad from power. But his legend spread. Stories exaggerated. Myths grew. History would later merge his name with Dracula. But behind the legend was something real. A ruler who turned terror into revenge and made an empire flinch. Fire 4. The emperor who walked into his army by 1814, Napoleon Bonaparte, was finished. Defeated by a coalition of European powers. Forced to abdicate. Exiled to the small island of Elba. Kings returned to their thrones. Europe celebrated peace. But Napoleon watched. And waited. Less than a year later, he escaped. He landed in southern France with barely 1,000 loyal soldiers. The new king, Louis XVIII, sent troops to arrest him. Near Grenoble, Napoleon saw the royal army approaching. He stepped forward alone. No sword drawn. No shield. He opened his coat and said, "If any of you would shoot your emperor, here I am." The soldiers froze. They had marched under him before. They had won under him. One by one, they lowered their rifles. Then they shouted, "Vive l'Empereur!" They joined him. City after city opened its gates. The king fled. Napoleon entered Paris in triumph. Without a single battle, he reclaimed France. For 100 days, Europe held its breath. His final defeat would come at Waterloo. But that march, that moment when an exiled emperor walked into an army sent to arrest him, was revenge through presence alone. Microphone #revenge is not always simple. Sometimes it burns cities. Sometimes it waits in snow. Sometimes it stands among corpses. And sometimes it walks forward, unarmed, daring history to stop it. But in every case, revenge reveals something powerful about humanity. Humiliation can ignite resistance. Loyalty can outlive death. Fear can become a weapon. And a fallen leader can rise again. History remembers revenge not because it is cruel, but because it changes the course of the world. If you want more true stories where strategy, survival, and human emotion collide, subscribe. Because history is not just the past. It is the story of what people do when pushed to the edge.